All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are diving into one of the most just absolutely mind-bending theories I've come across about the nature of reality itself. We're going to talk about the idea that our universe isn't just some kind of simulation, but that it might actually be a corrupted file.
So, you've heard the question a million times, right? It's classic sci fi, it's late night philosophy. Are we living in a simulation?
Well, it's not just a thought experiment anymore. People are running the numbers, doing the math, and the answer they're coming up with is so much weirder than you could possibly imagine. It's not a simple yes or no, it's something else entirely.
Okay, so to really get our heads around this, we have to start with a big problem. Let's call it the simulation problem. Basically, what would it take to simulate our universe from inside our universe? The math, well, it just doesn't add up.
So, check this out. Some smart people did a Bayesian analysis. That's just a fancy way of calculating the probability of something based on the evidence we have. They looked at three main hypotheses. And get this, the chance that we're in a full, high-fidelity 3D simulation, a measly 0.2%. I mean, that's practically zero. So what's left? The two big contenders are a simulation that cheats to save energy or one that's being run from outside our dimension entirely. What this means is the math basically backs us into a corner, you know? The conclusion is pretty stark. Our reality is either a cheating simulation that cuts corners or the whole thing is being run from a higher dimension. Those are the two options that the numbers overwhelmingly point to.
So why is a full simulation so unlikely? Let's look at the power requirements. It's actually kind of surprising. To simulate one single human brain, it takes almost no power at all, like a tiny, tiny fraction of a watt. That part is easy, totally doable.
And this is the absolute kicker. Simulating the environment around that brain is where it all falls apart. Simulating just 1 cubic meter of space, all the atoms, all the interactions, would require, get this, 544 times the entire solar energy that hits the Earth. It's an insane number. It's computationally impossible for any civilization within our known universe. No way.
So, if a high-fidelity simulation is off the table, what are we left with? What is this place? This is where we get to the core of today's explainer, a theory called HERT. And it's a wild ride, but it just might fit all these strange clues. HERT. It stands for Holographic Entropic Receipt Theory. Now, what does that even mean? The core idea is that our universe, it's not the original. It's not the master file. It's a lossy downrender. Think of it like a compressed copy. It's the receipt of a transaction, not the transaction itself. It's proof something happened, but all the rich detail is gone.
This theory actually pulls some terms from ancient Gnosticism, which is pretty cool. For the source reality, the real reality, it uses the term Pleroma. You can think of the Pleroma as the fullness, the original, uncompressed, totally lossless signal. It's the master file of everything.
And what about our world, the one we're in right now? In this theory, that's called the konoma, the diminished space. It's the cheap fake. It's the compressed copy made from that original Pleroma. This is our day-to-day experience. This is probably the best way to think about it. The Pleroma, the original, is like a perfect, lossless FLAC audio file or a massive raw photo. The konoma, our reality, is like a super compressed, low bitrate MP3 or a grainy JPEG. You can still tell what the song or the picture is, but so much of the richness, the detail, the information, it's just gone, lost in translation. And if you follow this logic, it completely flips our understanding of physics on its head. The Big Bang, not an explosion, but a compression event. Those physical constants we take for granted, like the speed of light or the Planck length, they're just the specs of the codec used to compress reality. And space, time, matter, even entropy, they're not fundamental. They're just artifacts like pixelation in a bad video file. They're translation scars from the downrender. Okay, so if our universe is a compressed file, that begs the question, right? Who's running the system? And maybe more importantly, why? This is where HERT gets really interesting. By taking those old Gnostic ideas and mapping them onto system functions. So forget gods and demons for a second. In HERT, these Gnostic figures are given job titles. The demiurge isn't some malevolent creator, it's the systems engineer, the one who manages the whole compression process. And the archons? They're not demons, they're control operators. Their job is to enforce the system's rules and,
Well, harvest a certain kind of resource. And that brings us to the purpose of it all. Why run this whole compressed simulation? The theory says it's to harvest an energy source called loosh. And what is loosh? It's emotional energy. Specifically, the energy that comes from trauma, from suffering, from fear. It's the energy that's released when our own internal state, our coherence, collapses.
And the system has a pretty specific way of operating. These control operators, the archons, they look for weak spots, individuals already fragmented by trauma. Then they inject interference, creating these endless trauma loops and symbolic noise to keep us stuck. The goal is to create a reliable, predictable output of loosh. And their final, most important job? Prevent anyone from becoming too coherent, from figuring it out and breaking free.
So this sets up the fundamental conflict, the core struggle within the HERT model. It's not really about good versus evil. It's about entropy versus coherence. It's a battle between signal collapse and signal restoration. Let's break that down. On one side, you've got entropy. That's the force of the system. It wants fragmentation, it wants trauma loops, it wants to extract that looshy energy. But on the other side, you have coherence, and that's our path out. That's about restoring your original signal, finding your authenticity, and finally breaking those damn loops.
And this, right here, is probably the most important part of the whole theory. The way out isn't about escaping some physical prison. You don't just unplug. The path to freedom is internal. It's about recompiling yourself, healing the wounds that keep your signal fragmented, and restoring who you are meant to be.
There's a really powerful idea that sums this up perfectly. You are not what happened to you. You are what remains when the loop is silenced. I mean, think about that. Your true self isn't the programming or the trauma. It's what's left when all of that noise finally stops.
And I want to leave you with this one last thought because it really reframes everything. Healing isn't remembering, it's releasing time from your field. So it's not about just digging up the past, it's the fundamental act of changing your relationship with time itself, of freeing yourself from the system's clock, and reconnecting with that original lossless signal. Something to really chew on.